Alright guys, so we left off on our spaceship walkthrough where we could press the A key and the D key and we move left and right. We need to do a couple things to kind of make this better. There's a couple issues that we have. When we press, we can completely go off the screen, which we really don't want that to happen. I also feel that our movements for our ship is really kind of slow. So we want to fix that. I want to do up and down, but maybe have it where I'm limited to only moving the bottom half of the screen, and then have our actual ship start in the middle towards the bottom. So there's a couple things that we want to clean up. We're also going to load up some images for the ship, get that to display, and do the background, and at least load the asteroid image so we can start designing our asteroids. Okay? Alright, so let's jump into this. I'm going to duplicate this. This will be Starship Game Walkthrough 2. Okay. Alright, so to start off, let's load those files. Now each one of these, I want to make sure that they are PNG, but I want to make sure that they are have transparencies. Otherwise, we might have to do some quick editing on them. This one's fine. The ship. That one's fine. Asteroid. That one's fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and load these. Now, we might have to be mindful of the sizes of them because they might have a huge edge. So let's upload those files. So these will be all in the video walkthrough. Okay, once they show up, they're right there. I'm going to change some names to just make this easier. Rename. Let's just do Asteroid 1. We might have a variation of a couple different asteroids. This one is the background. And then we got our ship. So that's all good. Okay, so the main thing is we can never use the same variable in multiple different ways without it affecting everything else. So if I'm doing a spaceship image, I can't load it as spaceship and then wonder why I don't have my image anymore. Okay, so I like to attach image to the end of anything that is an image. It makes it very explicit. It's obvious. Asteroid 1 image. Okay. Background. That one's pretty obvious. Background image. And ship image. Okay, now we got to do a preload. Remember, preload blocks our code so that all this stuff will load first before we call the setup. So I got to give the exact file name. I'm using a single quote. So we're doing the spaceship image. And I'm loading this ship.png. I got to type it exactly, case sensitive. Background image is load image, and we're doing the background.png, and then our asteroid 1 image, which we're not going to work on this today, we're just front loading this. Asteroid 1.png. Okay, there we go. There it's loaded. Now let's replace some stuff. We know that the background is going to change. So this will be the background image. Already looks better. Okay, now we want our spaceship. Well, our spaceship, we just have to go into our display of our spaceship. We are drawing a circle. Now we're using this to check for edges, okay? And for collision. So we will ultimately not draw that, but we do want to make sure that we are drawing the image. So there's a couple things that we want to do, and that's why we got push and pop. If I didn't have push and pop here and I changed my image mode from my spaceship to center, then the background image would also only cover the top left corner. Okay, so let's make these changes right here. we want the image to be on top. So I'm going to do image mode center. We can change the modes of lots of different things just by looking it up in the reference and seeing what we have access to. I want to draw the image. I'm going to draw the ship image. Ooh, and I didn't even write it right. Ship image. Ship image. And I want to draw it at this dot position dot x, this dot position dot y. And I have to be explicit because this is normally a rectangular object. It needs a width and a height. So I'm going to say this dot size and this dot size. I may end up changing that a little bit. There we go. There's my ship. So in terms of how this fits with the circle, this is actually not too bad. Now when I'm moving, look, it's moving with my circle, but I'm still going off the edge. So what I really want is I don't want to be able to go down below off the screen, and I don't want to be able to go to the left. So that's the next thing that we need to do. We need to work on the controls. And I want the controls to move a little bit faster. So I think 2 is a little bit too slow. If we tried 4, let's just see where that is. 4 I think actually feels a lot better. All right, but then that means I'm going to have to change. If I wanted to change the speed, let's say that I wanted to slow it down because we hit a power-up, a negative power-up or something like that. We could change that, but these are all hard-coded, so I want to change out of that. So let's do a speed variable. We could start it out as 4. And then I'm going to change all of this to speed. So that would be this dot speed. This dot speed. And that'd be 0. Okay, so now let's run. That looks better. Okay, and I still got my keys fixed. So now let's do, so this was just for doing left and right controls. Okay. Now when we move left, we actually want it to not let us move past this point. So in order to do this, we are checking these keyboard commands, but we also want to make sure that the left side of the ship is not already off the canvas. Okay, so we're going to have to write a little algorithm calculating based off of the size. Now the size is when we're drawing the shape, we're drawing by the size, but if we want to, and it's drawn from the very center of the circle. So if we actually want to find the left, then we have to subtract the radius, because the size is actually the diameter. All right, so I want to find this left edge, which would mean that I'm subtracting half of that size, and then checking if that's less than 0. So we're going to say, and this dot position dot x, okay, so that's the center of my circle, minus this dot size divided by 2, if that whole thing is less than 0, okay, then if this whole thing is greater than 0, then I want to be able to move to the left. If it's not, so if this breaks, then it should stop taking it. Doesn't matter if I'm pressing those keys. So let's check. I stop right there. But on the right, I can still keep moving. Now if I had this the other way, it wouldn't stop me. So you got to make sure that you're checking your stuff. Okay. So then we want to do that for the right. So let's just think it through. We want the right side of the spaceship, so that would be this dot position dot x plus this dot size divided by 2. If that is, as long as it is less than the width of the canvas, that would be this right edge, then I want to be able to take that command. If it's anything other than that, I don't want to move. So there we go. Now we're locked. All right, let's get our starting position. Instead of being width divided by 2, height divided by 2, why don't we do height minus like 100. See where we're at. That looks better. Let's try 50. I like that better. Okay, so now we're starting here. We got stuff coming at us. We can dodge left and right. But I want to be able to move up and down. And in this case, I don't really care if we are moving up and down without going above half of the screen. Okay. I don't care if we move diagonal. Now there is ways that we could play around with this to make sure that we're not moving faster on the diagonal. I'm not going to calculate on this. We don't need that math for this. Okay, so we're basically going to be doing almost this exact same thing, but modifying it. So I'm just going to copy this, and I'm just going to paste this, and then we're going to have to go through and fix. Okay, so let's look at the keycode.info site. And we are looking for W, that's 87, and S, 83. W is 87, S is 83. Okay, so when we want to move up, okay, this would be up, this would be down. W is 87, so when that is pressed and 83 is not being pressed, then we're checking the, now in this case we're also checking the top, so we want to move, let's see, we want half the size, we want this, so we want to move but stop moving when we're halfway. So we want to check that the top of our shape, that would be this position.y minus this size, so that puts us up at the top. We want to do that as long as we are greater than the half of the canvas, so that'd be height divided by 2. Okay, now we're going to do down, so that'd be 83. We do not want to be pressing 87. We want the bottom of the ship, so it'd be plus this size divided by 2, and we need that to be less than the height of the canvas. As long as that is true, then we are moving up and down. Okay, so everything has been replaced for velocity and position in terms of y, and then we're looking at W and S. Let's go ahead and test. That locks me there, locks me there. Now notice I kind of move a little bit faster on the diagonal. This could be fixed. I'm just not worrying about it. So that is giving me my responsiveness. Now we do need to have some lasers, but before we can have lasers, we're going to need to make sure that we can have the asteroids and be able to collide with them before we can create lasers and shoot them. Now, I'm just leaving my hitbox there for now, but ultimately that's going to get removed. But this looks pretty good so far. All right, so let's go ahead and save. That's it for this live code. Good luck. Have fun.